James and Rita, polling from inside the No campaign has cast doubt on a central claim of the Yes camp, and that is that the Voice is supported by an overwhelming majority of Indigenous Australians. Rita?
Well, I don't think this surprises anybody. Anybody who's had a look at the poll that the Prime Minister refers to and relies on for that oft-repeated claim would know how dodgy it is and how likely it is to be wrong. So I think anybody who speaks to people widely knows that this isn't something that is backed by all Indigenous folk. Of course it's not. Just like every other segment of the community, they have their own ideas. They don't all vote the same. They don't all think the same. And hence, another reason why having a voice with 24 people determining
representing 3,000 different tribes or clans or
hundreds
groups.
of languages, yes, dialects, exactly. Really?
Insane. Insane. James, terrific piece from you and your newspaper during the week about the trickery happening in the polling booths.
Well, yes. So we have, we've seen over and over again that the Yes campaign is now resorting to all sorts of tricks and chicanery. We have seen the signs that the AEC has asked them to take down because they're misleading. Many of them they're still around. We have seen the tweets that they've put out telling people that they could write an X to vote no. That's misleading. Again, the AEC has told them to take that down. They did take that one down. But also, we discovered at the Daily Telegraph that Yes campaigners, the ones who are making phone calls to people to say, how are you going to vote? Vote yes, all of that. They have been told to give a different message about the treaty depending on whether the person is in favour or against a treaty. So if they call you up and they say, we'd like you to vote yes, and you say, oh, I'm concerned about a treaty, then they say, oh, well, what are you concerned about? Well, I don't like the treaty idea. Oh, no, this is just an advisory body, so you can vote yes and there won't be a treaty. But if you say, I'm in favour of a treaty, you say, yes, vote yes, because that's the first step. So this is the trickery and the chicanery that the Yes campaign is getting up to because they are desperate. They know the polls are against them, and the only way that they can win this is through basically misleading voters.
Well, we've had stealth and deception all the way through this campaign, and I'm sorry, I'm not as confident as people like Andrew Clennell that the no vote will win. If you look at the polling booths, there are not the no volunteers out there. We need more volunteers manning those booths. You can go to volunteerforno.com. It's the Fair Australia campaign there. They need people out there on the polling booths for the simple reason to explain. Many people aren't particularly, involved in this or engaged, Rita. And we need people on the polling booths to gently explain to them why they should be voting no and to explain it to them. Rita? I
think you're right not to be complacent because I think a lot of pundits are looking at the polls and going, this thing is doomed. I said when it was polling around 70% that it would be defeated. I always thought it would be, but there is no denying that the Yes camp has got advantages that the No camp does not, including a massive war chest. We're talking around $100 million. We've never seen anything like this in an Australian political campaign. That amount of money being spent in a short period of time, saturation ads, and then this chicanery with the AEC, that the signage that is almost identical to the AEC, deliberately so. Then we've got putting out messages, and then the AEC itself revealing on Twitter, or X as it's now called, that you can vote multiple times. They, of course, don't encourage it, but they said that if you... It will count.
You'll be counted, yeah.
Why would you put that out there? Why would you not say, no, if you get caught voting more than once, there's all sorts of very serious consequences, and we've got ways of finding out if you've done that more than once? No. The actual message they put out was like an invitation to activists to go and do that. Why are the AEC, James, behaving in this... I'm very shocked by that.
Well,
and you're hearing all sorts of other things about the conduct of AEC officials at polling
booths. And more and more of these add up to a culture, I think, at the AEC where it sounds like, if some of these stories are true, that they're pushing voters in one direction or the other. But the other thing, though, you mentioned that huge campaign war chest. And that, I think, is something that's really important that we need to talk about more because You know, if the voice does succeed, and I'm with you, Rowan, I've been saying I am not necessarily confident 100% that the polls are right on this, that no winds up getting up winning the day. Yes, there's the double bar of the states and the double majority, but all of putting that aside, turnout's a huge concern. Disengagement is a huge concern, but also if money winds up buying a yes, and that's what this is. This would be. It would be, you know, the same people who scream and cry about money in politics and Clive Palmer and all of that stuff will be celebrating and cheering. And this would be the breaching of one of the soundest constitutions in the Western world by an activist left using corporate money. And, you know, that alone, I think, is reason enough to vote no.
Absolutely. And yet we've had all the usual suspects. We've had more celebrities out there. This Jason, what's his name, character, Momo or something other? I don't know.
He's very attractive. I don't know if I want to hear him talk about politics, but, you know, if there's pictures of him scantily clad, all for that, not for, I don't want to hear it from him.
But is he Matt Gaetz attractive?
But you have, you know, we've had Ray Martin out there. We've had a lot of pressure on people to vote yes.
Did anybody else find it ironic that Ray Martin was talking about dinosaurs? I don't know.
Yeah, look in the mirror, mate. I will go over some of these celebrity endorsements in the next segment for my reality
Well, we don't want to preempt that, Rita. We do not want to do that. But let's also talk about, there was a rather unsavoury cartoon in one of the newspapers. Rita?
Oh, well, yes, the Nine Papers, Australian Financial Review, ran this really infantile, unimaginative cartoon painting the No campaign as Nazis. I mean, really, how clever. And apparently, if you look at that image, that's supposed to be Jacinda Nampijinpa-Price, Peter Dutton and Warren Mundine. Not that you can tell because, you know, the artistry is so great there. But it's just so, James...
So those little O things...
are supposed to be Hitler's,
little Hitlers.
Okay. And the thing is set up like a Nuremberg torchlight rally.
Right.
You know, so it's juvenile. It is, you know, it would certainly be verging, I think, on tropes around Nazism and things like that, you know, you'd think you'd want to stay away from. But it's a terrible piece of art to begin with, and it's not funny.
It's not funny. It's not imaginative. It is the sort of thing you'd expect from a first-year art student, not someone who is supposed to be a leading cartoonist in the country.
Now, I want to go to... the show Q&A earlier this week. This clip speaks for itself. Absurd doesn't even begin to describe it, but have a listen. Have we got it?
Personally, I think it would make more sense to fund need over race, and we could find other ways to value...
Indigeneity isn't race.
How is it not?
It's peoples who pre-existed colonisation.
You're going to have to explain. Sorry, I don't.
There are blonde and blue-eyed Indigenous people in the Arctic Circle.
We're not in the Arctic Circle.
It doesn't matter.
Blonde and blue-eyed Indigenous people in the Arctic Circle, predating British colonisation. I mean, seriously.
Can we talk about this? Because this has actually taken hold in some segments of the Yes camp. And really, you cannot treat the Australian public like they are morons who don't know the meaning of words. I mean, we know what race means. It refers to ethnicity. It refers to ancestry. Of course, the race-based referendum is about race. It's pretty much all it's about. So to try to pretend that this is not going to cause any sort of racial division or inject racial politics into our founding document is just incoherent nonsense. No one buys that. I don't think even in the Yes camp anybody would seriously buy that. So argue your case, but don't try to gaslight the Australian public by pretending races don't exist and we're all just a human race. No, we're different races. I'm a different race to Rowan.
Then why do they have
We've got different ethnicity.
Why do they have the race powers clause in the Constitution off of which this hangs?
This whole thing was about race from the beginning. The very first, the reason the voice was set up and the expert panel on expert panels was all to do with Section 51 or whatever in the Constitution and race. It's always been about race. When they suddenly realised the Yes campaign, because people like this show pointed it out to them that they are racists. If you are voting yes, I'm going to tell you again, you are a racist. I know you don't like to hear it. I know it's not what's in your lovey little head, but you are a racist if you vote yes to basically dividing Australians by their racial genetic background. That's what this is all about. And this sudden new thing, as Rita was saying, that suddenly popped up out of the blue, out of nowhere. Oh, no. It's all to do with how long you've been living on the land. Oh, OK, indigeneity. It's this new concept, James. How long you've been... Imagine if the rest of the world had to redefine their constitutions by how long you've been living on the land.
But Rowan, this gets down to the fundamental problem, because okay, it's not about race, so what? It's this playground idea of oh, we were here first.
Yes, exactly.
They were here first. And this cuts against exactly what Bob Hawke talked about when he talked about in this country, and he was talking about it in a different context. I understand and admit that, so don't get all huffy about that. But the words hold true. In this country, no hierarchy of descent.
Yes.
That is what
and no
the referendum...
No privilege of origin.
Yes.
Well, we had Noel Pearson talking directly to the migrant community saying, which camp are you in? Are you with us? Are you with the settlers?
Dividing the settler white class against the black.
That, by the way, can I just very quickly say that was so disgraceful.
Oh,
as a migrant to this country, that was such a disgraceful thing to say.
It was straight out race baiting. But to the migrants of this country, when you say certain Australians are going to have extra privileges because their ancestors were here longer, what do you think that says to the migrants who got here last?
It says you are not welcome.
So we're the lowest on the totem pole. You've got the Australians.
That is where that logic takes you, no question. And you have. Foolishly, you have imams and sheiks this Friday at the mosques telling Muslims to vote for the voice. I think that is so counterproductive if they bothered to look into it in more detail.
It's a betrayal of their community. That's what that is.